Have you ever had someone try to take something from you that was never theirs to begin with? Imagine waking up one morning, stepping outside your home, and realizing that the very driveway you've used for years, your connection to the road, your path to freedom, was suddenly being claimed by someone else. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to me, and the person behind this outrageous claim was none other than my neighborhood's infamous HOA Karen. Now, if you've ever lived in a community with a homeowners association, you already know the type. Always watching, always criticizing, always ready to tell you what you're doing wrong. But this time, Karen wasn't just nitpicking about the color of a mailbox or the height of a fence. No, she went straight for my driveway, boldly declaring that it wasn't really mine at all. According to her, my driveway belonged to the HOA, and I had no right to use it without permission. At first, I thought it was some kind of joke. Who in their right mind would think they could control someone else's driveway? But Karen was serious. She walked right up to me with her clipboard in hand, her HOA rulebook tucked under her arm like it was some kind of holy scripture, and announced that the driveway was part of community property. She even threatened to fine me if I didn't stop parking there. Can you imagine? Fine for parking in my own driveway. I couldn't believe it. I asked her where she got this idea, and she said, "It's in the documents. You don't own that land." "We do." She spoke with such confidence that for a moment, I actually wondered if she might be right. But something inside me told me to dig deeper, to not just roll over and accept her absurd demand. And oh, am I glad I did. Because what I found out next turned the entire situation upside down. You see, the driveway Karen was trying to claim didn't just belong to me. It wasn't even under control of the HOA at all. In fact, it wasn't private property in the way Karen thought. It was actually a state-owned road easement. That's right. The land Karen was so desperate to control didn't even belong to her precious HOA. It belonged to the state. When I learned this, I couldn't help but laugh. The irony was almost too perfect. Here was Karen, trying to flex her imaginary authority, not realizing that she was picking a fight she could never win. She wasn't just wrong. She was about to find herself on the losing side of a battle against the state itself. But before I could even explain it to her, she escalated the situation. She sent official-looking notices to my mailbox, demanding that I cease and desist from using the driveway. She warned me that failure to comply would result in legal action and daily fines from the HOA. She even tried to rally the other neighbors, telling them I was illegally encroaching on community land. For a while, the neighborhood was buzzing with rumors. Some people actually believed her. They whispered that I was in trouble, that I might lose part of my property, that I'd have to fight the HOA in court. It was stressful, no doubt, but instead of panicking, I decided to turn the tables. If Karen wanted to play this game, I'd play it better. I went straight to the state transportation office and pulled the records. And what did I find? Proof. Solid, undeniable proof that the strip of land Karen was fighting over wasn't HOA property. It was a designated state road easement. The state maintained rights to it, not the HOA. My driveway was perfectly legal, perfectly valid, and completely untouchable by Karen or her clipboard. When I confronted her with the evidence, the look on her face was priceless. She blinked, stammered, and tried to argue, but her words carried no weight. Because here's the thing. You can't argue with official state records. You can't override the law with a homeowners association handbook. But did Karen back down gracefully? Of course not. If you know anything about HOA Karens, you know they never admit they're wrong. Instead, she doubled down, claiming the documents must be outdated or incorrect. She accused me of forging the records. She even tried calling the police, insisting I was trespassing on her property. And that's where the story really started to get interesting. Backhand index pointing right, CTA, for Section 1. If you're hooked on this wild story and want to hear how Karen's desperate attempts to control my driveway completely backfired, and how the state itself got involved, make sure you keep listening. Trust me, the best part is yet to come. And hey, if you've ever dealt with a power-hungry HOA before, drop a comment below sharing your story. You're not alone in this battle. Now, you'd think that after being shown official proof from the state, Karen would have given up. Most reasonable people would. But Karen wasn't reasonable. Instead, she decided to dig herself an even deeper hole. First, she went door to door, waving her HOA rulebook around and telling everyone I was a problem homeowner. According to her, I was breaking the rules, disrespecting community, and refusing to follow the law of the HOA. She made it sound like the HOA had authority over everything, as if their rules were higher than state law. And while some neighbors knew better, others started to wonder if she might be right. Then she tried to find me. Not once, not twice, but dozens of times. Every week, another letter showed up in my mailbox with some outrageous demand. $200 for illegal use of community property, $500 for unauthorized parking, even $1,000 for ignoring HOA directives. The numbers were ridiculous. And here's the best part. She actually thought I'd pay. Instead of paying, I kept every single letter. I made copies, filed them neatly, and started building a case. Because I knew this was no longer just about a driveway. This was about abuse of power. This was about standing up to someone who thought she could rewrite reality just to feel important. Finally, things came to a head when Karen called the local police. Yes, the actual police. She stood on my driveway, arms crossed, insisting that I was trespassing on HOA land and needed to be removed. The officer showed up, took one look at the situation, and asked for proof. Karen, of course, pulled out her HOA rulebook. She pointed to a section about community common areas and declared that the driveway fell under that rule. But when the officers asked if she had property maps or legal documents, she came up empty. That's when I handed them the state records. The officers read them, looked at Karen, and then gave me a nod. Ma'am, one officer said, this driveway is an HOA property. It's a state easement. You have no authority here. You should have seen her face. She went from smug to furious in about 3 seconds flat. She argued, yelled, and even threatened to sue the state if they didn't side with her. The officers just shook their heads and told her she was wasting their time. Eventually, they warned her that if she kept making false claims, she could face consequences. That was the turning point. From that moment, Karen realized she wasn't just up against me. She was up against the law itself. But even then, she couldn't let it go. She filed a complaint with the HOA board, demanding that they take action against me. But when the board reviewed the evidence, they sided with me. They had no choice. The facts were clear. And here's where it gets even sweeter. The state ended up sending Karen an official warning. They told her that interfering with state easements could lead to serious legal consequences. She was ordered to stop harassing me immediately and to cease all attempts to control the driveway. From then on, everything changed. Karen stopped patrolling near my house. She stopped putting letters in my mailbox. She stopped showing up with her clipboard. It was like she'd finally realized her little power trip had gone too far. And the neighbors? Well, once the truth came out, they saw Karen for who she really was. People who used to listen to her started rolling their eyes when she tried to stir up drama. Her influence in the community shrank overnight. As for me, I learned a valuable lesson: never underestimate the power of knowing your rights. HOA Karens thrive on intimidation and fear, but the moment you stand your ground and arm yourself with facts, their power crumbles. So the next time someone tries to take what's yours, whether it's your driveway, your yard, or your peace of mind, don't just give in. Do your homework, find the truth, and fight back. Because trust me, there's nothing more satisfying than watching a Karen lose a battle she was never meant to win. Backhand index pointing right, CTA for Section 2. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable HOA tales. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever seen a Karen try to overstep her boundaries? Share your story in the comments below. Who knows? It might be the next one I cover.